excuse me, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Are you ready? It's time!
Welcome back. We are back at it again. Tonight is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. We are already at the end of May. Can you believe that? Saturday is going to be June 1st. We are officially halfway through. I mean, officially would be like June 15th, but you know, in months wise, we're officially halfway through the year. We are getting it in. We don't miss. If you do not know who I am your host of the show and of the channel. I am Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. Like it says right there. Engineered, where is it? Engineered to win. So we are going to get to it. So I already have some friends in the chat. We have, of course, as always, the one, the only. We got your car in the building. And your car says, if you smell what Tech Coach Ralph is cooking. Yes. And we have someone that I have not spoken to in quite a while, but always a favorite of mine. We got Manny Man in the building. What's going on, Manny Man? So happy to connect with you again. Welcome back. And of course, we got our brother in the building, Ferris. What's going on, Ferris? What's going on? How you doing? Did you finally get some sleep, Ferris? Did you finally get some sleep?
Bruh.
All right. So let's get the show on the road. So let's go through our agenda real quick, and then we shall get to the questions. I'm not gonna waste any time tonight. I have a bonus question that I'm gonna start the show off because someone left me a comment on the candid conversation from yesterday, and I will answer that question. I will address that as we get the show moving. That'll be our first question of the night. All right. So let's get to it. Let's get to our agenda real quick. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. So first and foremost, as always, thank you to all of the latest subscribers, as well as the subscribers who's been here for a very, very long time, who are rocking with me. I appreciate you all.
I appreciate you.
And to the tech barbarians, the tech prodigy plus, to the technical explorers, to the bag chasers, to the tech mercenaries. You know how we continue to run it up because we
the best.
We are the best, and there is nothing that's going to stop us because
Let's get it.
we are going to get everything out there, right? So it all belongs to us. It all belongs to us. And already, you know, we have Bridget in the building. Hi, Bridget. I'm so happy to hear from you. I've been looking forward to hear from you because I know it's been a rough couple of weeks, but we don't miss. We are back at it again. We are back, getting to work. We will get to work and we're going to do what we do. So looking forward to meeting with you soon. I am happy to see you back at it again. All right. So let's get going. Let's go to our show schedule. What is our show schedule, right? So let's run through this real quick. we have our live shows Sunday afternoons, software explorations. We are working through Terraform. Yep, it's been a bumpy road with Terraform trying to figure out this ECS thing, but we don't miss. We're going to get it, right? We're going to get it. And then Tuesday nights, tonight, we have our Q&A sessions where you have questions, you can call in, you can ask in the chat, and I find questions as well to get answered for you because sometimes you don't even know what questions you have yet as you transition into the field. So I am here for you. Thursday nights, we have more software explorations. This coming Thursday, we are going to continue with the karate framework. We're going to do part 2 of that. Last week, we had to do a slight pivot because we implemented some API documentation which turned out really, really well and really, really fun. So this coming Thursday, we're going to continue with the karate framework, right? And then we have our morning shows Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays, we start around like 7:45, 8 a.m. And on Wednesdays, we start at 7:15 a.m., where is Coffee and Kata. We are reviewing some news articles, which I found the article for the numbers to watch for this week. So we'll go over that tomorrow morning. And we are working on our mobile development. Yesterday, while your car was laughing at me struggle through React, but we got it anyways. We did get the privacy policy page up. So tomorrow we're going to continue going through the flow to get our app published on the Android side. And then probably next Monday we'll start working on the iOS side. All right. So that is our morning show. And then lastly, our newest, and you know what? It might be my favorite show of the week. We have the Men Lie, the Woman Lie, the Numbers Manipulate. Yes, Numbers Manipulate. The weekly numbers review, the economic data review. As we build our urban dictionary of economic data, that is what we are working through on our live show. And I got Mitch in the building, I got your car in the building, and all of my much more knowledgeable economic and data folks with me on Saturday mornings, bright and early. We started at 9:15 on Saturday, and guess what time it is for your car? Guess what time it is for your car? And this shows how, and I'm sure he's already up many hours by then, but it is 6:15 a.m. for your car when we start off our number show at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time, and he gets it in. I swear, he is always awake. So shout out to your car waking up early, helping us out with our numbers, trying to break down this data. All right, let's jump into our pre-recorded content. On Mondays, we have Candid Conversations. Yesterday, I gave my top 5 strategies for you looking to get into tech. Hey, their strategies, are they easy? Not so much, but trust me, they are very, very effective. Tomorrow, Wednesdays, we have software explorations, concept and overviews. We are going to be going over zero trust architecture. Never trust. Always verify. All right. So it's going to be a very, very fun presentation. And I break it down at the end in very, very layman's term. It might be an extreme example. Oh, it's not too extreme, but it might be an extreme example depending on who you are, And it's going to be very, very fun, pretty long, but it's going to be very, very worthwhile. So you definitely want to check out that zero trust architecture tomorrow. And then Fridays, we have the Bug Bite. And on this episode of the Bug Bite, we're going to be talking about why Roku is forcing all of its customers to use 2-factor authentication. Guess why? Of course, a security breach. So now you have to do it. Right. So that is our show lineup. And then we have throughout the week, we have shorts as well as additional content clips from the Q&A show, like from tonight's show. We clip it up from a few months back. We're just clipping them up Monday through Friday so that you can get the content in bite-sized, digestible pieces. All right. So that is our pre-recorded content as well as our live show. So there's something here for everyone every single day. So come and join us. Come and take a ride on the fantastic journey. All right. So before we go any further, do me a big favor. Go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know every single time we go live. And if you're in need of one-on-one coaching from me, go over to www.techcoachralph.dev. All right. So I see we have an all-star lineup today. We have Mitch in the building. Mitch hits us up with the take off the blazer, loosen up the tie. Superman is alive. And of course, it wouldn't be Mitch if he doesn't come in with the hate. That intro was trash. Oh, we We disagree. That intro was absolutely stunning, Mitch. You know, maybe, your car, it might just be a little bit of jealousy because he doesn't have an intro like that. He doesn't have an intro like that. Maybe I think that's just a little bit of jealousy. But, Mitch, as the VP, as the VP of data analytics, we'll tolerate your foolishness. All right. We will tolerate your foolishness. All right. So let's get going. So, what are you talking about? Winners don't make excuses when the other side plays the game. What are you? That makes no sense at all. But I am going to quote it. I'm going to add it to our quote like I did for the last one. I'm going to add it for a quote to promote Saturday's show. That made absolutely no. You know what that reminds me of? For anyone who's ever seen Billy Madison, and when he answered the question about the Industrial Revolution, and he gave that babbling answer, and then the person who was moderating said, that answer made absolutely no sense whatsoever, and we are now a little bit dumber because of that answer. That's almost how I feel about this quote right here, but I'm still going to use it. All right. Winners don't make excuses when the other side plays the game. Okay. I don't get it, but you guys are too you see? Yeah, you're right. He wants to be the center of attention in the office. All right. Let's get going. All right. I have too much fun with you guys. All right. So let's get going. Let's not try to be here all night tonight. We're just Q&A night, hanging out, having some fun with the bros and the sisters. All right. So the show format, what are we going to do? Right. We're going to have 5 minutes per question. I'm going to read the question, going to start the timer, and then going to give my perspective on it. Then you guys I'll check the chat, see what the chat's perspective. Am I off? Do you agree? Do you have additional input? That's what we do, right? That's what we do. And we will have a great time, have some fun, play some sound effects. Although some people don't like the sound effects, I love the sound effects. And you know what? And those sound effects, they are very addicting. Your car and I was doing a meeting, a presentation this weekend, and he starts pressing one sound effect, then another sound effect, and then it's just like sound effect galore. And I'm just having a great old time, and I'm happy that I'm not the only one addicted to sound effects. All right, let's get to it. All right, let's get to it. So I'm gonna kick off with my first question of the night, and I'm just gonna call this, because this one I wasn't planning on it, but I just added at the end. I'm gonna just call it the jump off question. All right. So the first question is, and somebody left me a comment about this. So the question was, how to get a mentor. So based on the video that I made yesterday, about the number 3 on the list was to get a mentor. And I gave some idea, some insight on it. And I've spoken about it in the past, but I will answer it officially for the 2024, for May 2024. I'll hit you with this answer, right? Hit you with this answer. So I'm going to throw up 5 minutes on the clock. I probably won't need 5 minutes, but we shall put 5 minutes anyways. Let's get to it, all right? So, you know what? Actually, let's do it like this, right? Let's do it like this.
Another one.
How to get a mentor. So this is my strategy on how you can get a mentor. So first and foremost, I say you have to find the people who are where you want to be. A lot of times we do these networking events and stuff like that, and we get mentors that might not be too experienced. They're more like associates, right? I say the way that you have to find a mentor is you have to go to the places that they are. And I say a good spot that you're gonna find, you can find a mentor, and you just have to approach them, is you can get it on LinkedIn. You might be able to get it in some Discords. It just depends on the type of Discords you go by. But let's use LinkedIn for example. So what I would do is I would go and research some of the biggest companies that are around, like maybe that I would look to work for at some point in time. Maybe a Netflix, maybe an Amazon, maybe a Google, maybe a Microsoft, maybe a Tesla, or a X, whatever. I don't know. Any of those big companies, right? And then you start searching for the position that you're interested in. So and for the people who work in those businesses. So you go to the people, And then you look for all right, now I'm searching for a QA engineer or a software engineer, maybe senior, whatever. Someone who has some experience. And you look at their profile, you see what they've done and everything like that. And you send them a connection request. And you add a message to it. And you say, hey, I'm trying to get into this field, and I looked at your, and you have to flatter them a little bit, right? And I looked at your profile, and I see you have so much experience, and I think you would help me so much. Would you be willing to mentor me a little bit? Would you be willing to mentor me a little bit? And I will pay you for your time, and I just need to like make sure I'm going in the right direction. If there's any pointers, if there are any gaps in the things I'm doing, and if we can meet every so often, and you do that for quite a few people, until some of them are gonna like, at least one of them is gonna say yes. You ask them, can you help me get to where you are? Apparently, you were able to do it successfully. Can you help me do it successfully as well? That would be my strategy. Go to where the people who I want to be like, I want to be where they're at, are. And then, like, if you're going to go to like these networking events, then when you go to it, connect with the people who are where you want to be. See, a lot of times people connect laterally. I want to connect vertically. If you join a Discord, maybe it's a technical Discord or something like that, seek the people who share the most information. Ask questions like, "Hey, do we have any software engineers in this Discord? I'm looking for a mentor. I'm looking for someone to help guide me. I'm looking to learn. I'm looking to excel." And then the same way that someone would interview you for a job, interview them. Say, "Okay, like how much experience do you have? What is it that you do? I'm looking to get some guidance and see, That would be one of my strategies to find a mentor. Because a lot, especially in tech, the mentors, the person who can mentor you, they're not going to come out and seek you because they're busy. They are very, very busy. So it's not likely that they're going to just be like, "Hey, do you need a mentor? Hey, do you need a mentor? Hey, do you need a mentor?" And Bridget has a great point here. Don't discount your local area either. One of my neighbors became a mentor and a friend. Shout out to that. And then you can also ask your mentor, "Hey, what are some ideas that I can use to build up my experience, to build up my resume?" And people's time is valuable. So compensate them for taking the time to help you. Make it worth their while. But that's how I would be looking to get a mentor. And trust me, you can have more than one mentor. You can have more than one mentor based on your needs. So that is my answer to the question. Let's wrap that one up. All right, let me check the chat, see what we have going on. Let's see. And I see Mitch and your car are having a lively discussion. So your car says, "Go to Starbucks and see who comes in every day with shorts and a sweater. He usually leaves big tips and flirts with all the lady baristas. Ask him to mentor you." I guess it depends on what that purpose is. And it says, the car says, "Starbucks has that lemonade." I don't really go to Starbucks. Your car says, "Starbucks has that Frappuccino." Do you know how much sugar is in that Frappuccino, your car? Oh my goodness, that Frappuccino is packed with sugar. And Elon Musk needs a friend. I would be Elon Musk's friend. I had one of my basketball buddies. Don't laugh at me, Mitch. But one of my basketball buddies was laughing because I said that I would work for Elon Musk in a heartbeat. And I was like, yeah, I'll work for Elon Musk in a heartbeat. Whatever. Like, you know how much experience, how much knowledge I can gain, yada, yada, yada. And he thought I was crazy. I'm like, nope, I would be there in a heartbeat. It is the most, I can agree, I can attest to that. It is the most profitable drink there. I would say that. And it says, come to Cali and I'll take you to Orange County. You'll run into endless mentors. All right. And Ferris also adds, I go to vendor live streams or industry regulation live streams like PCI Council, message the panel guest and see network or tech niche tips live stream you were on. That guest with the nice, that guy had an amazing, I felt some type of way. I'm not gonna lie to you, Ferris. I felt some type of way. I'm like, man, do I need to? I just upgraded my camera like 2 months ago. Do I have to upgrade again? Because that camera was amazing. I must say, shout out to him with that nice camera. Just gotta say. All right. And Bridget had said, don't discount your local area either. One of my neighbors became a mentor and a friend. And your car also adds to Mitch. I don't watch the news. You voted for Biden, didn't you? You guys are so silly. I don't have to answer that or respond to it. Oh my goodness, you guys are too much. McAllen is one of my mentors. He's such a great guy. Always a good time with him. All right. And Bridget says, absolutely get multiple. That is a fact, because different perspectives, and then you can, glean from that different perspectives. And I'll tell you this, because we've read Bridget's a post that she made before about the networking. It was actually very effective networking tips from Bridget. Says I actually met her on LinkedIn and realized we're backdoor neighbors. Small world. You see, I knew this was gonna happen. Oh, terrible. You see, now we're even your car. I can't drink energy drinks and you can't have frappuccino. Oh my goodness. It says, I found a few mentors on Reddit as well. I wonder who that was. Anyhow, let's move on to our next and our first official question of the night. All right, let's get to it. So let's go.
Another one.
Paying to get a job? What does that mean? So this one starts. Pay after placement. All I have been a part of an esteemed, so I've been a part of an esteemed organization called, they're dropping names too, Sharpener, who promised me a job of more than 5 IPAs. I think is IPAs like a Indian currency? Let me see. IPA is, yeah, I think IPA is an Indian currency. Anyways, so they were promised more than 5 IPAs for which I need to pay a part of my income, and the average placement they said was 8 IPA. And before joining, they confirmed I don't have to pay a penny if I don't land a job. Now, fast forward to 8 months. I completed the back-end module, sat for a few interviews, and let me clarify, there were more companies in the interview portal giving less than 5 IPAs than those offering more than the promised slab. I took a few interviews, got selected in one of them, could not join because they rejected me for my notice period. Well, that's a bummer. Anyhow, in many interviews, I failed to qualify. In the meantime, the trainer would call you asking you to sit for the interview for those companies which you may not like. In my case, I was asked to interview for a few companies who were offering salaries I wasn't satisfied with because I was already working. Of course, I would expect more. Maybe there was location constraints, but they would convince you to sit for the interview. If you manage to crack, you have to join that. Was what was mentioned in the agreement. So after failing a few interviews, I decided to take a break, and also the company which I managed to crack was not very convenient for me, but they would ask you to join them based on the agreement. As I was already working, it wasn't making sense for me to join. After 2 months now, I have stopped applying for interviews, and now they want me to pay a hefty amount. Why? Because according to them, I just completed their modules and left their course without applying for a single company, which is totally wrong. I have proof, and they have sent a show cause. This is how they set things up. Anyone with similar kinds of experience? Can you share your thoughts? Well, let's start the clock. I certainly do not have any similar type of experience. Number one, I don't live in India or wherever they use IPAs as currency. But number two, IRN is, so what is IPA? I don't know. Whatever IPAs is, that's what they're getting paid in. But I don't get paid in IPAs. And here's the thing. They want you to pay back your student loan.
Bruh.
So yesterday, that reminds me, yesterday on the show, I called in Technique Tips because I'm like, they were talking about student loans and how some people are getting their student loans forgiven, which just means that me, Yakar, Mitch, Bridget, Ferris, we're just paying off someone else's student loans. That's all that it really means, right? I'm not looking to pay someone else's student loans off because no one paid off mine, right? And I wouldn't want somebody to pay off mine either because, I took the debt, I owe it, right? Anyways, I digress. You are looking for somebody to pay off your student loans. You had an agreement to pay back for the education that they gave you. And you're saying that they are they're making you apply for jobs that is less than 5 IPA. But you're getting rejected for the jobs that are higher, which means that it's possible that your skill levels aren't as good yet to earn the 8 IPA. So maybe you need to work your way up. Now, here's a dilemma. You're currently working and you're making probably about 5 IPAs, and you want, no, you'd still be getting paid 5 IPA. And I guess the company would get like 3 IPA. And you're unhappy with that. So my question would be, well, if you get the job paying like 5 IPA or less, how much are you have to give them? But nonetheless, you still kind of owe them. Whether you get like, can you continue rejecting an endless amount of jobs? I guess is my question. And you just stop interviewing altogether. So how are you going to pay back what you owe them? As Little John's song said, nothing's free. Nothing's free. Know what I'm saying? So what are you gonna do? Now you have a couple of options. You can level up your skills because it sounds like they put a lawsuit on for you. It sounds like they put a lawsuit out for you saying, hey, you stopped applying altogether and you owe us this money. Did you read the fine print? Because now should the other students cover? And how much effort did you put in into these interviews? Like for the interviews that you didn't want to take, were you just like, oh, I'm not interested. Oh no, I don't want it. Did you purposely tank or bomb those interviews? It all depends on what the contract says. See, now you're trying, but we won't let you. You're trying to run in the Victim Olympics, but we do not support the Victim Olympics over here. All right? So you got you got to pay up. Because you just stopped applying altogether and the deal was, all right, we give you the education, you go and get this job, you pay us back what we taught you, and then after X amount of time, now you're free. You can do whatever you want. Was that not the deal? It's like so one of my best friends went through an apprentice union for to be an electrician like a long time ago. and they pretty much pay for your education to go through the whole program, but you have to pay it back. You have to pay it back. But and the thing is are you going to take the job? Like, are you going to take one of the jobs that are being offered to you through the portal? Or if you let's say you don't even take a job through them. Let's say you find another job on your own and you get paid a lot more money. Does that mean you don't have to pay them back because you still got the education from them? So it's the same way. Like a friend of mine, they had a contract to work as a nurse for X amount of years, and if they break that contract, then they have to pay. So a lot of times when you hear these signing bonuses and stuff like that, it's really a contract that says we'll give you extra $5,000, extra $10,000 if you stay for 3-4 years working full time. And now when you want to jump ship, and they say, well, you got to pay the money back. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have to pay the money back. Yes, that's the deal. That's what you agreed to. That's what you agreed to. So I don't know. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm not. Maybe student loan forgiveness is the right way to go. I don't know. It's not. Trust me, it's not. Anyways, let's wrap that one up. And let's see what the chat thinks about that one. Let's see. We got Ferris says, speaking of notices, if a company says they want to hire immediately and ask how fast someone can join the team, is the standard 2 weeks the best path or just say ASAP? I would say the 2 weeks is the best path, because if you say ASAP, now a thought might be, well, if they are willing to just drop everything that they're doing for their current company, when they get a better offer than what we're offering, how do they know they won't leave us high and dry as well? So that's a consideration that you want to make as well. So I'd always go with don't, see me, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I'm okay with burning some bridges and they say, oh, don't burn bridges. Sometimes I'm like, I'll put some dynamite in the path and burn it down, and but in this case, you don't just you don't burn it that way. You leave under good conditions, stuff like that. So it just depends on the bridge. Right? So it says, so yeah, your car says IRN is Indian currency. Your car says, might as well. We paying off Ukraine student loans off too. Oh my goodness. You see? Your car is always trying to get me in trouble, okay? And Ferris says, Israel has free healthcare and education from our tax dollars. America is the most generous nation. Hey, you guys are so bad. Pay my loans too. It says, Ferris, nowadays, who knows? It says, Bridget says, probably ask for a payment plan would be the best at this point. I mean, yeah. I mean, because they will come after you. And they have the firepower to do it. So, 2 weeks ASAP, who knows? And Ferris says, I see, because in the past I had a different experience as the questioner. Interesting. Most places ask that. Standard is if you have a job already is 2 weeks. And honestly, one time I left a job, I was like, all right, I put my I told the company I'll start in 2 weeks, but I told the job I'm taking off in a week and a half, so that I can have a couple extra days. Some ask, when do you need me to start? Yeah, fair. And it says some companies, if they really want you, will pay the penalty. Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact right there. And it's the same way with those non-competes, right? If you're him or her, they'll come to oh, your little non-compete, boom, we'll take care of it, and then now you're free. Because all a non-compete really is a contractual obligation with a if you violate that contract, they're just gonna say, okay, you owe us $10,000, and if the company really wants it, all right, boom, $10,000 paid off to the company, you're good to go. So it just depends. All right. And fair. That's real. And we got Spaces in the building. What's good with your Spaces? What it is, what it was. Oh my. See, spaces. See, Mitch, you got competition now for your quotes. What it is, what it was. You see, look at that. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
We the best.
All that conflict of interest stops in September, and your car says to spaces, slow motion and bending corners. Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Ain't believing us.
All right. So let's jump into our next. Mitch is so petty. Mitch is so petty. I'm not even gonna read that. I'm not even gonna read it. Nope, not gonna read it. Not gonna read it. All right, let's get to our next question of the night. You guys are too much. All right, let's go. So,
Another one.
do you think people who are introverts would generally do better at larger companies than at a smaller company? Or do you think company size doesn't have anything to do with that? Say someone prefers a job where they don't have to be very social and just have to work. Do you think someone like this would generally be better off working for larger companies than smaller companies? So that is a good question. And here's my thoughts behind that question, right? So I think that what happened is introverts used to be able to, stay hidden at just about any company. But the thing is, the times are shifting. So I would say back when there was the waterfall method of software development, where, you would just lock yourself in a room and code all day, and then you just kick it over to QA and testing to go through the process. Then it was really an introvert friendly type of arena. But nowadays, with the whole agile methodology, having to participate in tons and tons of meetings, having to do sprint reviews, having to do refinements and retrospectives and planning and daily stand-ups, it's like although you can succeed as an introvert there because there's a lot of coding and stuff that's still a lot of time to yourself, but there's still a lot of talking involved. And I think that it is inevitable if you ever if you never want to shine and show how capable that you are, then you can stay hidden in the corner, stay under a rock. But if you want to grow, you need to be able to explain your work, and you need to be able to communicate fairly. You need to be able to communicate and share, like, okay, this is what this is, and you need to market yourself. It is all about marketing, whether it's a large company or a small company. Because guess what? I work for a fairly large company, but the team that I work for a large company, but I talk to like maybe 5 to 10 people a day. So it's still small for me. But the thing is, like, and I'm very, very introverted, believe it or not. But I still always volunteer. I still put myself out there. I still volunteer to run meetings. I still volunteer to do anything, like whatever we need to do. Like, different members on the team can do it. We rotate and stuff like that. But always trying to be a very good communicator. We're always trying to be very, very engaging. And big company, small company, it's who do you interact with, and how is that interaction with them? Nowadays, there's not. I mean, unless correct me if I'm wrong, Ferris, but unless you are doing like a security analyst like Ferris, where you work overnight and you don't talk to anybody, that might be a different story. But if you're looking to like do software engineering, do quality assurance, things like that, then trying to like communicating with stakeholders, showing off your work, things like that, that's going to be like, that's the key right there if you want to grow. And also, here's the other thing. If you don't market yourself, when they're like, when the higher ups are looking to promote, or when they're looking to cut, how do they know the quality of your work if you don't share the quality of your work? that's something that I'm always thinking about. So I'm always like looking, I'm always into marketing mode. How can I be of value? And I think a lot of times people who are introverted, they do add a lot of value, but it's just like nobody knows about it in many cases. So it's like the old adage, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear about it, did it make a sound? If you are doing a bunch of work, whether it's QA, whether it's software engineering, whether it's front end development, graphic design, whatever, but you don't share the type of work that you've been doing, the complexity of it, like how long it took you, all that, like all the details behind it, if you're not asking the right questions, then did it really make a sound? Did you you did it, but what if oh, that's easy for this person? So that's the tricky part about it. I know a lot of people got into tech, into software engineering, into all that because it was the introverts' hideaway, their getaway spot. But now, as people who are introverted are also being able to, or people who are extroverted are also being able to take on these roles, now you have competition. So I always say, you know what, for me, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do the work. And then after I'm done, I'll take a breather. I'll go back down to my hole and work from there. But that's my idea behind it. That is my idea behind it. All right. So there we go. All right. Let's wrap that question up. And let's check the chat. So I see we have some friends in the building. So let's go through the chat real quick. It says, good one. I'm an introvert. Yeah, we know, Mitch, we know. And what are you guys talking about? If you upset to me, if not, sit back and watch me do me. You guys are so silly. All right, your card says double-edged sword. It's not good when it's time to do Q&A. True. And your card says agile doesn't work without communication and input from everyone. That's true. That is true. All right, and we got KG609 in the building. What's good, folks? What's going on, KG609?
I appreciate you.
And Spaces said, you did a good job making compound sound so simple this past Saturday. See, your card, he is good at breaking it down to like an easy way to understand, because I talk about it from such a technical perspective, and your card is like, okay, so what Ralph said, this is what it means. And he's like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I've been doing this. Maybe I've been in the tech field way too long. But yeah, your car always breaks it down really well. And appreciate it. I hope it helped. We'll be doing another. I don't have that time by itself. We'll be doing another training on June 8th. Yes, we will. And Ferris said, gotta talk. So gotta talk a lot still, even if it's overnight. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. So you see, even in cybersecurity, you have to talk a lot too. Who do you talk to overnight though? Who do you talk to overnight? And he says, I despise talking. Is that so, Mitch? Is that so? And Ferris says, my company is in the US, UK, South America, Hong Kong, so still gotta hit people up. And chat then before I'm off shift, do reports and meet with leadership. Okay, that's interesting. And we have, all right, let me see if I can get this. Me, selfie. And shout out to you as well. I don't know if your car saw it yet. I was going to leave a comment on the video, but I didn't have a chance yet. But thank you for the shout out in your video. I really, really appreciated that.
I appreciate you.
And that was a very, very good video talking about, the things that you're working on. That was an awesome video, I must say. So it really liked it. Really liked it. So, and Ferris also says, when the director asks me a question in a meeting and I don't have the answer. Tough time. That is tough. That is tough. And Yakar says, I feel that me being in Cali and some of my clients are in Virginia and Florida, so they call me at 7 a.m. their time and I answer. See, that's how you that's how you make it to those morning shows so early, because you got these clients calling you at 4 a.m. California time. That is tough. That is tough. But guess what? The work doesn't stop. Just because we are in different time zones, the work doesn't stop, right? Right? So when I have to deal with my European-based coaching clients, I have to either wake up early or go to sleep late, depending on what it is. So I hear that. And versus it be like that, but gotta be time zone flexible for everyone, especially in terms of security. It's really just me alone, a single point of contact. Oh, getting it in. Let's see. And Mitch says, I started commenting more here. Now look. Yep. That is so true. And Spaces says, I'm catching up in the stream. I know you're not talking about how my CV sugar is a Starbucks Frappuccino when you're out here drinking monsters like water. Hey, that I have not. You see Spaces? That was the last time I had an energy drink was, I'll tell you I'm going to tell you the exact date, what day that was. Tell you the exact date. You guys trying to test me. I got you. I'm going to tell you the exact date it was. It was, the last time I had an energy drink was it 20? Was it the 22nd or 20? It was March 20. When was that competition? It was March 22nd. Yep, that was the last day, March 22nd. All right. So you guys trying to come at me. That was March 22nd. All right. And now you guys are going over your frappuccinos. Mitch made me go cold turkey on, right after competition. All right, I'm done. Haven't had one since. But you guys are out there are fraternizing in your frappuccinos. Look at that. You see, I got the last laugh. I'm gonna throw. And I'm pretty sure those lemonades at Starbucks are full of sugar too, Mitch. I'm just saying. I got y'all. I got mine, Anyways, you see, Space is trying to call me out. You know what? I can't believe these Spaces. We were supposed to be here. Spaces, and you coming after me. Oh my God, Spaces. Oh my goodness. I thought we were cool. Spaces. Bring it up. Why you gotta bring up the past? I'm just saying. Why you gotta bring up the past? Anyways, let's get to our. You know what? I'm done with you guys. Let's get to our next question.
Another one.
Does being a manual QA tester get you left behind? So, for starters, I started off as a software tester that's data centered. Shout out to my data people, Mitch, McColl's Wellness in Motion, and everybody else who, I would say Yakar, but Yakar is in every industry. So whenever I start naming names, just automatically assume Yakar is at the beginning, right? So it says, started off as a software tester that's data centered. 3 years in, and it felt very stagnant and was craving for growth. So I applied to become a software functional tester in the same company. And in the span of 1 year, I've learned a lot. Back in college, I was coding and it wasn't really tight knit. As much as possible, I steer clear from it. Okay, so they didn't like coding, they steer clear from coding. Okay. I took a general IT bachelor's, so basically I had a course of each branch of IT, and programming was my least favorite of them all. That sucks. Anyhow. Back to the present, it feels that everything is just progressing way too fast. The company decided to adapt automation. Oh, nice. So that prompted us to train in Playwright TypeScript. That didn't really stick with it, since only a couple of QAs were selected to focus on it, and I got some other projects that were assigned to me, which is more on the manual testing side of things. Aw. 6 to 7 months in from the transition, I was tasked to be part of the maintenance initiative. I still feel very raw and thought I'm not ready for this train, but I didn't really have much of a choice. When I got in this initiative, everything was new to me. It became more technical, more complex applications to cover, and it was not repetitive at all. Well, you're looking for something repetitive? Sorry. Given that we're catering some very old bugs straight out of an ancient history chest that's now they want it to be fixed. In this initiative, I was forced to adapt and learn more automation skills, but this time more on the API testing. So we were taught how to automate using C#. You should have tuned in the past month on our API series. If I were to pick between Playwright TypeScript focusing on UI and C#.NET automation with API, I much prefer C#. Nice. I like that. Anyways, the point of this very, very long post is I don't think I see myself dancing with automation in the long run, as it stresses me out. Add the fact AI burnout, but at the same time, I love being a QA. Aww. It's a love-hate relationship. Okay, I must say. All right, well, you don't love it if there's hate in there as well. On the bright side, I was semi-grateful that our company gave me this opportunity to learn and a room for growth, but now I just think it's too much growth for me to handle at the moment, and they aren't slowing down. If you could slap me with the reality in our industry, helps a ton. Well, if you want to get slapped, well, let's go over to Dana White's. What's the name of his thing? His slap. What's the name of Dana White's slap thing? Dana White slap. Move this out the way. What's the name of that slap competition? Don't give me. I hope they don't give me the other. Let me see. I knew that. Power slap. Is that it? Power slap. Power slap. Yeah. So it's called power slap. So if you want some power slapping from yours truly, then by all means, I will certainly give that to you. Let's put our timer up, right? So, yeah, Ferris, you ever heard of power slap? Dana White started a new, I guess, a league or something where people just slap each other to see who can knock each other out by a slap. Anyways, here's the thing. Your primary question is, does manual QA get you left behind? The answer is absolutely. It gets you left behind. Sorry, not sorry, but everything in this world is about, expanding, innovation, evolving. And if you want to just stay in the same spot that you've always been, then you can there's not going to be any room for you, because as companies are trying to get more efficient, they're going to see, okay, what is working, what is going to reduce costs, and if you're not willing to pick up, then they're going to have no use for you. So instead of whining and moaning about, who says this? Your car, who says this? It feels that everything is just progressing too fast. No, you need to pick up the pace. Why would a company want to pay you to do something manually that you can make mistakes? Every time you do something manually, there goes the potential for mistakes to be made. So companies don't like risks. Risk management, risk assessment. Companies don't like risks. So if you can learn how to program something that's going to go through the same repetitive process every single time, so you as a human doesn't have to do it, and you can focus on something else that's more valuable, why would you be fighting that? Oh, I know why you'd be fighting that. Because It's work. You want to be treated as the playwright script, as the automation script. And we don't do that. So I've been writing automation tests for the past 12 years. Different softwares, different languages. You see me on the live streams doing API automation, doing UI automation, doing it in Playwright, doing it in Cypress, doing it in Selenium. You see me doing API automation with Karate, with Rest Assured, with the request library, with whichever one super test that Node uses. Haven't went into C# yet, but I'm pretty sure I could figure that out pretty easily. But when you try to fight the system always wins, right? How do they say in gambling, the house never loses? So instead of like expanding your career and growing, you want to fight it. And now, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do next? It's been 6 to 7 months, and you're still, struggling along. Instead of like, oh, I feel very raw and I'm not ready for this train. No, you need to wake up early. Like I said, what was my number one strategy? From yesterday's video? It was the sacrifice. What does sacrifice means? You might have to wake up 2 or 3 hours early. You might have to go to sleep 2 or 3 hours later. You might have to do both, so that you can ramp up and you can be knowledgeable on what you're working on, so that you don't have to feel raw. And you don't have to say, oh, I don't have much of a choice. Because guess what? Now, when you're going to try to switch positions and you're trying to look for a manual testing role, when I first started the channel, I was on a mission. I said, you know what? All these, programs are saying, oh, learn manual testing, pay us $10,000 to learn manual testing, and you'll get a job making $100,000 as a manual tester. And I said, all right, cool. Well, let's go look for these manual testing jobs. And every single stream, we would go look for this mystery manual testing job. And guess what we found? We found nothing. We found nothing. There were no manual testing jobs available. Not in this country, at least. So that's why when I'm coaching, I always recommend, I'm like, look, you have the knowledge of, how to test and stuff like that, but now let's put it into practical use, practical implementation, and we're going to start learning automation. And we're going to be learning automation based on the need of the project we're doing. So right now we're heavily focused on APIs. So I'm like, all right, start writing API tests. As we get more into UI development, then we're like, all right, cool, write some UI tests, but the core functionality, the business logic, has to be tested at least an API level, because that's where the business logic is. The UI can change a million times. And honestly, Playwright is not that hard to use. I've used Playwright like a multitude of times. I've used it in Python. I've used it in JavaScript, with Node. It's not that hard. Like, the problem is you don't want to learn coding, but code is the future. Or you can be one of the people who's going to make a post in about 6 months saying, is AI going to take my manual testing job? In that voice exactly. Your voice is going to start cracking and you're going to have a tear in your eye, and then we're going to have to play this for you. Tune in next week for the story of how AI took this manual QA tester's job.
Another one.
Not the one I wanted to press. All right. So that was that question. Let's go and check the chat. See, what do you guys think about that? So we got, let's see. Slap Sport. Yeah, I think it's called Power Slap. No powder, all hands. And your car says, A bunch of grown men slapping each other to see who can knock the other person out first. Full open hand, no LeBron powder. And he's like, did he used to do that in Cleveland or did he start that in Miami? I don't remember. Let's see. And Mitch says, statistics, but I recommend getting an analyst job first. They have good salaries. Most people don't just jump in as a data scientist. Some analysts make more than scientists. They're different. Oh, okay. Different levels. Different levels. There's levels to this, is what Mitch is saying. There's levels to this. And your car is pointing out human error when we were manually testing, like when we do things repetitively over and over and over again, there's always going to be some type of variations. When you automate the process, automation negates the human error. That's a fact. Because they don't want to learn new skills or languages. That is true. That is true. That's the unfortunate side of it. And I'm always encouraging people like, hey, let's learn this thing. Let's as your car's favorite saying, let's run it up. Let's run it up. Let's do something amazing, you know? And that's why, like, I'll see a lot of people asking, like, oh, about like a particular school, and I say, oh yeah, Ferris went to that school, or hit them up. Oh, I need like a game plan in cybersecurity. I'm like, oh, like hit up Ferris. Like based on some people like, oh, I'm looking to do this. Oh, check out your car. Your car sent somebody my way the other day. It's like because we know how we work, our work ethic. We have no problem recommending each other to the people who need certain things. Emmett says, to be honest, most people learn on the job. They may take courses, but they mainly learn on the job and decide to move up or change companies. That is like, so, and that's the thing. What I've always seen based on Mitch's comment is that you get a general knowledge, a general understanding of the subject, but once you really get hands-on, that's when the real learning starts. What you get from these courses, it's like the prerequisites, how you get to the starting line. But the race doesn't start until you're actually putting those skills to real use. So totally agree with what Mitch is saying there. And so Ferris saying he's going to work on his R, his SQL, his Python. I would recommend the machine learning course in Udemy. Like that one I found out to be a really good one, getting you familiar with NumPy, pandas, my arch nemesis, pyplotlibs, scikit, all that. And your car says, that's why I tell people if they learn API testing, they will be ahead of the game when they get to work. That is a fact. Like I kind of like, people ask me, oh, should I learn UI or API testing? Although you see a lot on a lot of job postings about Selenium and stuff like that, I say, you know what? If you learn API, you're going to stand out, because a lot of people, they are not familiar with API testing. Like you can still learn like those front end frameworks, but you'll be standing apart if you get familiar with API testing and how to use like Postman and stuff like that. And Mitch says, if AI is affecting an analyst, it would be affecting every data person, whatever the title. Can AI do the job? Yes. You just have to skill up and use AI to your advantage. It also depends on the company. Yep. Like the company that you're at. Yep. And your car says front end means nothing without back end doing his job. That's a fact. That is 100% true. It says not saying impossible, but most people don't start their first job as scientists because also that's machine learning. Yeah, like I started looking into like the data science at one time, and it was like talking about Hadoop and all this. I'm like, okay, this is a little too advanced for me right now, but maybe one day. And your car answers my question. It was in Cleveland he started doing the powder thing. All right. So let's continue. Anything else in here? Anything else? Let's see. All right, cool. We are good. Let me get a sip of water real quick. And if you haven't done so already, do me a big favor. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time we go live or drop new content. All right, let's get to it. We are on question number 4.
Another one.
Waking up early for a job? What gives? So, waking up to drive to an entry-level IT job at 6 a.m.? What? For 3 weeks to get my foot in the door, is it worth it? So, long story short, I'm currently studying cybersecurity, and I got a 3-week job to set up Dell computers, so I believe it would be considered experience for IT. But the catch is I would need to wake up around 6 a.m. because it's an hour drive plus can be heavy traffic. I think the commute is going to be miserable. Plus, I'm not a morning person, but it does get me some experience on my resume at least and a little money. What do you think? Does it sound worth it? Well, let's put the timer up. And I think that this is a terrible question. You need some experience. You're trying to get into cybersecurity and you're being asked for just 3 weeks to go and set up some computers to get some experience. Yes. Wake your and get to work. Wake your up and get to work. I'm just saying. Because here's the deal. You get like an hour drive for like entry level, something that you're trying to get into. It's not even a question. You need the experience, and being able to set up computers. You're probably gonna have to network them, work with some other people, get some experience, being able to communicate, being able to articulate on your resume what exactly that you did. I mean, how do you, oh my God, do you know, I used to have to wake up around like 3, like not even, I was pretty much on call, and I would get a call around maybe 1 in the morning to drive from Hollywood, Florida to Doral to post a bond for some random person. And then I would get back home maybe around 3:30 in the morning. And then I'll get another call maybe an hour later to go to the Broward jail to get somebody else out for a bond. Because that was work. And when you're on call for IT companies, then like you might get a call in the middle of the night. Oh, the server is down. You have to bring it back up. Sometimes you have to work overnight as someone in IT because you have to set the things up overnight, and you're not able to because you don't want to disrupt the day-to-day operations. So whatever you're doing, there's going to be times that like you're going to be inconvenienced. But like Yukar was saying earlier, his Florida clients call him at 7 a.m. Florida time, which means that is 4 a.m. his time. Mitch drives an hour to work, once every 2 weeks in the beautiful state of New Jersey. Ferris works overnight. So you complaining about waking up at 6 a.m.? You know what?
How dare you?
Like, what gives? What gives? Like, that's nothing. That's nothing. On Thursdays, I'll be up at like 4:45 in the morning, and my day won't until like 11:30 at night. So and here's the thing, right? I've been doing this for the past 20 years. You're trying to get your foot in the door. There's no question about it. Get that experience. Even if the money's not the greatest, get the experience, because how do you expect to get to the next level? And that's the story to talk about. Like, oh yeah, I did this job for 3 weeks where I set up like these 20 computers, network them, install the firewalls on them, just describe everything that you did. And when you're able to do that, there's okay, this person, like they're in for it. But maybe you are not really in for it. Maybe you're not him or her. Maybe the chat is right. Maybe you just want to drink monsters and play Zelda all night long. See, me, I'm always looking to maximize my time and maximize my opportunities. And I think that if you had that mindset of, oh, there's no question that I'm going to do this job because I need every bit of experience that's possible. Every bit of experience that's possible. See, I've had miserable commutes before, and I dealt with it. I won't even tell that story. But anyways, you gotta do what you gotta do. If you want to gain experience, then you have to go to the place that you're gonna get experience, and then you leapfrog from that. You leapfrog from that to get something better. But you got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. All right, let's see what we got going on in the chat. I see some new faces. All right, let's see. So, where did we... I know someone who's that's a scientist working 3 analyst roles. Oh my goodness. Says versus bro plays Zelda all day long. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. And your car says stop drinking Monster and playing Minecraft all night long. And if you do that, you might be able to get up at 6 a.m. And let's see, where else are we looking at? It says that that sounds like some Florida-ish. It sure is. It sure is. Oh my goodness. And your car says that sounds like some Florida hoodish in real life where I'm had to get traffic slay out of jail. Oh my god. That's hilarious. That was I did that back in like when did I do that? Like 07, 08? Or 08, 09. Yeah, 08, 09. Yep. Those are some long days and nights. Long days and nights. Having to put people back in jail and stuff. It was a mess. It was a mess. Anyways, so Ferris says that makes sense. I think in security they do the same for some roles, or there is no standard between companies. I guess overall I want to do something a bit more than what I'm doing now. And I'll tell you this too, like even in it all depends on the company, because even in like software engineering and QA, stuff like that. For instance, there are some companies, I think it also depends on the field that the company is in, because if they're a regulated field, they're going to have, they have to have a separation of powers. But if it's the field that's not very regulated, you'll have like the DevOps type work is going to be integrated between the software engineers, the QA engineers. Like for example, like I might do, like the developers can do a deployment, I can do a deployment. But in other companies, like when I was working for a pharmaceutical company, it was not allowed for the developers to be able to do the deployments. It had to be a QA because of the separation of powers based on the regulations in the pharmaceutical industry. So it really depends at that point. And we got Adrian in the building. Says, "What's up, bro? Hope all is well. Trying to get my dad over here to check out the content. Bring your dad over. Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. Anybody we can help and anybody we can reach, we're here. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for." And it says, "Don't remind me about that drive." Yeah, that's a long drive. That's a long drive. And your car says, "The audacity."
How dare you?
I love that one. I love that one. And it says, Ferris says, I used to drive 2 hours to work one way. That is a killer. That is killer. And Mitch says the craziest people are in all of Florida and the Bronx. So it's all of Florida and just the Bronx? Is that what you're saying, Ferris? All of Florida and just the Bronx. I got you, Mitch. It says never again, but foot is in the door. You see, yeah, like you just have to get your foot in the door, get that experience, and go from there. And your car says, I don't know. Chicago is pretty bad as well. Mm-hmm. Yup. Let them know. And let's see. You want to take over the show? Spotlight on me. I'm playing That's True Too. You're so funny. All right. So Space says 20 years. Let me find out you're 52. No, I just turned 40 back in April. Yep. Just only 40. Only 40. Don't you put that evil on me, Spaces. Don't you put that evil on me. All right. Let's see where we're at. Where are we at? All right, so let's see. Bridget hit us with, they never lived in the boonies and it shows. For real. And let's see. And Mitch says, there's a lot of people doing the stacking overemployment. Remember that story about the overemployment where that person, where the person ran into their boss at the mall? And then the boss checked the phone. Is like, hey, can I ask you a question? Yeah, what's up? Why does it say that you're online right now? What? That must be some type of error.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I don't know. But that's what the boss wanted to know. It says, hey, I was out here shopping for a gift for my wife and I ran into, Joe over there. But Joe, it says that you're available, you're online, that you're working. It says that your keyboard is typing. What does that mean? What happened was, you know what? Do me a favor, Joe. I want to see you in my office first thing Monday morning, pronto. All right? Pronto. All right? When they use the word pronto, you know it's bad. Bruh. When they say pronto, it's not a good sign. It is not a good look. So I'm just saying. All right? So let's continue. All right. Let's see. So Ferris says, pro tip, always stay offline. They'll never know when you're actually online. That is one way to approach it. I'm not sure if that's actually going to work, but in Agile, we have trial and error in Agile, so we can give it a try. Might not be too good. And your car says Joe should have pulled out his Apple Vision Pros and went remote work real quick. That's okay. I had to process that for a second. Yeah, like I am working. Like there goes the Microsoft Teams. There goes my window. I'm remote working. Hello, remote working. That's a good point. That is an excellent point, Car. You know what? I'm going to get me some Apple Vision Pro just to try that. You know what I thought of as well? Like on a separate topic, talk about Apple Vision Pros. Like, you know what? I should build an Apple Vision Pro app for the time cost calculator so that you can have the time cost calculator in that little corner. And as you're working, you see, oh, this is how much money I'm making doing this. Oh, this is how much money I'm spending watching that. That's the content creates itself, your cart. The content creates itself. And where it says, so how often and how long is an agile meeting? So they have, so let's say a daily Scrum meeting, a stand-up is about 15, it shouldn't be more than 15 minutes. We have the retrospective that can be, it kind of depends on the company and on the team. I'll give my team's length, right? So we'll have about 2 refinements per week. That's about an hour each, where we are going through stories and we are fixing them up, cleaning them up for our next sprint. Our planning lasts about 2.5 hours. Our retrospective lasts about an hour and a half, and our sprint review lasts about 30 minutes, more or less. But I've heard of some companies their planning and stuff is like 8 hours, like it's a whole day thing. So yeah, it just and the meetings are like kind of spaced out, but we have a meeting almost every day. But some of them are like, well, the daily scrum is every day, but some other meetings like just different meetings that like end up in different places. But yeah, it kind of balances out. But I heard some companies they overdo it, some teams overdo it. So it just depends on the company and the team that you're on as well. So that's pretty much how it works. And Mitch says, "I'm sorry, I'm carrying the show tonight. I'm carrying the show right now. I'm typing fast. Oh my goodness, he has his Bruce Almighty typing hands on. All right, so let's get to our next question. So Mitch doesn't have to do all the work by himself. All right, so let's get going. You guys are too much. All right, let's go to our next question of the night.
Another one.
Why is testing so hard for developers? All right. So I found this one to be a very interesting one. So, as a software developer, it is so hard for me to even start with testing. I'm trying to learn testing and implement in my app, but don't know where to start because I don't know how to come up with scenarios. How do you professionals do it? So, you know what? That's a good question from Bridget, for someone who transitioned from like UI, UX, front end, or like software development to QA. How do I come up with scenarios? Because, well, here's the thing. I think that it might be easier in a way, because all right, what I was gonna say, it might be easier to go from QA into software development rather than from software development into QA, because let me start the time, right? But the problem is with the software developers, the mindset is always, and this happens to me too, even like when I'm developing, the same exact thing happens to me. We think of what we're writing is perfect and that everything's going to work. And the testers, they think of whatever is being written, it is totally horrendous and nothing works. And usually we find somewhere to meet in the middle. So it's harder because even for me, like I'll develop something and then I'll tell the tech barbarians, hey, it's ready, I'm done. And then they'll be like, oh, I found a bug. I'm like, oh, I hate you. I'll literally be like this. I'll be like this.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
You know, and I'm like, you know what? What's going on here, right? But that's the thing. Like when you're the one writing the code, you're thinking about, okay, how do I get it to work? How do I get it to work? How do I get it to work? And now the QA people are thinking about, how do I get it to break? How do I get it to break? How do I get it to break? So I think in order to be a and the thing is, right, a lot of times when I'm writing my code, I'm also using test-driven development, but I'm missing certain like scenarios and stuff like that. And then after the fact, so just the other day, we're winding down our sprint, and I tell one of the tech barbarians, I'm like, you know what? Can you try this scenario, because I think this is gonna fail. And they tried it, and lo and behold, it failed. I'm like, okay, yep, that's what I thought, because I wasn't actively thinking about the development. I was thinking about it after I changed my hat to the QA hat. I'm like, you know what? This scenario is probably a bug that I created, and then it was. So it's all about you can't be a developer. You can't have your developer hat on when you're trying to think about testing, because, and that's why they say someone who tests their own code is like how does the saying go? It's like the person who tests their own code is the worst QA person, because you can't see all those other scenarios. Like writing unit tests is one thing, right? Doing test-driven development is another thing. But when you are tasked to test your own code, there's bound to be errors. And I'll tell you this: with the time cost calculator, when like the Trap and Slay final typo the other day, I'm like, oh, that was so obvious. I didn't see it, but boom, found it. So that's the thing behind it. Like, you need to be able to walk away from your code, approach it in a different light, act like you're not the one who wrote it, and see what are the things that could be wrong with this. And I think that's going to put you in a better spot to start coming up with scenarios. you need to put the hat on of a user, which a lot of times is hard for a developer to do. But you know how they say kids say the darndest things? Users do the darndest things. Users do the darndest things because something you're like, why would they do that? I don't know. But they see things that we don't see, like even as QA, right? You'll see like someone will say, "Oh, the user," like you get a message from support, like, "Hey, the user tried to do this, and this is what happened." I'm like, "What in the like? Why would they do such a thing? Why would a user do that?" But it gives us something that we're supposed to patch up. We need to or make it work or something like that because it was a scenario that we didn't think of. It wasn't a use case. So another way that I think that would be helpful for developers to start becoming more testing minded, more quality minded is think about behavior driven development. Because I think with the behavior of an application, that does put the developer and the QA and the business analyst at a closer mindset to the user. Because now we're not thinking about how the code is written, we're thinking about how the application is used. So now when the scenarios are being written, there are all the different ways that you should be able to interact with it, all the ways that you shouldn't be able to interact with it, how things are supposed to look. So it's giving you a good insight on that. Also, one more thing. It is essential to have great acceptance criteria. The acceptance criteria. So me, a lot of times, I might not even know what exactly the story is doing or how it's being implemented. But being that I can read the acceptance criteria, I can know what testing scenarios I should follow. So it is imperative that you also have great acceptance criteria for your stories. And then based on that, like a lot of times I just get the acceptance criteria and I say, okay, I need this test case, this test case, this test case, that test case. And I have a whole list of scenarios and test cases that I write. So I think that is a few strategies that will help the software developer come up with better testing scenarios. You need to change the hat that you're wearing. Take off the developer hat, put on your tester hat. That's number one. Number two, think about adopting a little bit more behavior-driven development and test-driven development. And number three, make sure that your acceptance criteria is on point. All right, let's get to the chat. And let's see. Hope your shoulder feels better, Mitch. So Mitch says, you ever seen that Kermit the Frog meme where he's typing really fast? That's how you got me right now. All right. So your car says, because testing is straightforward and when developing has room to move around, the scenarios come with experience. That takes time. That's a fact. And Bridget says, it's hard getting your feet dirty coming off the happy path. That is true. That's a very good point. Because if you just stay on that paved road, it's like, oh, it's all smooth and stuff. But then when you have to go into the gutter to test, then things are different. All right. So totally agree with that. And says, your car says, that's what a hackathons are for. They create the scenario and we break it. Yup, that is true. And let's see, what else do we got? Your car says, test against DDoS first. Most people don't realize they are very vulnerable to them. Your car, what's the DDoS stand for? Let me see. DDoS. Let's see. Well, that I don't think you're referring to DDoS attack. What are you referring to with DDoS? Or are you talking about DDoS attacks? Let me know. And let's see, anything else? Bridget says, it's easier to go from UI, UX mindset to testing than dev to testing. That's a good point. I think that's how my mom would navigate it. She's not very tech savvy. That makes sense. Yeah, because like the UX, UI, you also think from a user perspective with UX, UI. from the dev, from what I can see from a dev perspective, you're not really thinking about like the user perspective. You're really thinking about the code, the algorithm, things like that. So that's why like the UX, UI, and the QA, they normally can come up with all these different scenarios, and it's a little bit harder for the dev. So that's why you have to take off that hat, you know. And Mitch says the shoulder hurts from carrying the show. Okay. So you were talking about DDoS attack. I got you. Okay. Gotcha. From a network. Okay, gotcha. From network. Okay, makes sense. Perfect. Gotcha. All right. So let's keep going. We are on a roll tonight. Let's see. Let's get to our next question.
Another one.
How often is SQL used in testing? That's a great question. I've seen some jobs that require the tester candidate to know how to use SQL. Do you think it's just some queries or create tables or anything like that? So I'm going to sip first. All right. So let's start the clock, right? SQL in testing. I think number one, it depends on the company. You know, all these questions end up depending on the company, right? But I don't think that it is used to the extent that, like, you don't have to be. Honestly, for me, you don't have to be an expert for most jobs to be doing for SQL. Now, so I've seen some companies where people have to do like left joins, right joins, and stuff like that, and those are like some of the more complicated, like the inner joins and stuff like that. Do they happen often? I don't think they happen that much. But you do have to use SQL, and although it's not often in a lot of situations, the problem is if you don't know it, if you don't use it, you lose it. So you still need to keep your SQL skills somewhat up to date. So usually when I'm using SQL, it's mainly for queries, not like because a lot of times the application that I'll be working on it's already the application is already built. So you might need to retrieve some data from a database and stuff like that. So we'll be doing different queries. You might be using different tools. I remember when I was doing the ETL stuff, I would have to be able to create like, you know, and a lot of stuff was already created. So I would be managing like these queries, in these joints in order that we can move like data around. But in a QA job, for the most part, I don't really see much of these crazy type queries. It's like, honestly, mainly you might have to do, let's say you're using the UI or the API and you make a post or you add something to go and check the database to make sure that it's there. You might have to query the data. That might be a little bit complicated. You might need to query some data for analytics or something like that. But the actual use of more complex queries, it's not as much as it's going to be for a QA person. Like on the data side, like for what Mitch does, he probably has to do some crazy complex queries and to create data tables and plots and stuff like that. You know, his favorite to create scatter plots, not my favorite whatsoever, not your card's favorite, but it is totally Mitch's favorite to do scatter plots. But that's the thing, like, I think it's very, very important to know SQL, but how much of it do you need to know? I would probably say, you know, get a little bit familiar with the joins and stuff. And the other stuff that you need to know how to do, that you might need to know how to do, you are going to, you can probably figure it out with Google. Maybe ChatGPT if you're into that. But I remember I was doing some SQL queries. Because I had to find a particular type of data to plug in, and it ended up being kind of complex. But I was able to get some assistance from the engineers on doing that one. And then the more that you use these systems, the more that you expand on your knowledge of doing queries, you're gonna get better at it. But the problem is, if you don't use it often, then you're gonna lose it. So what I would recommend is that to continue keeping your SQL skills fresh, you probably want to go to maybe like a codewars.com or whatever, maybe a hacker rank, whatever you can get some SQL practice, continue refining those skills because you don't want to lose it. And with that, you know, I honestly, like, for my whole career, I've never had to be like that much in debt to using SQL. I remember when we were building a new application that was adding to a Cassandra database, I did automate some of that SQL testing to check the database and stuff like that. But it still was pretty simple queries, to be honest. It was still pretty simple queries. Nothing really ever like super, super complex. It's mainly, can you connect to the database, query the thing that was added, make sure that it's there, make sure all the rows are populated. You might have to do some schema testing to make sure that the schema matches. And that's the part, like, and that part only comes like at the beginning when you're starting a new project, where you are testing the schema to make sure, like, okay, it says it should be an integer. So you're checking to make sure that you try to send a string to it or characters to it, and you get an error saying no, that's not part of the schema. You might try to say something takes 50 characters, you send 51 characters to it. So those are the types of testing for the SQL that you would do at the beginning. And then also like, all right, now we're implementing this endpoint, this API, and we add a new like blog post or something, right? Now you go and check the database to make sure that the blog post was added, all the information is there, things like that. But complex queries, not so much. Sometimes you might end up doing it, but it's not going to be the norm. It's not going to be the norm from my experience. It can be different from different companies, but from the many companies that I've been in, I haven't had to use those complex type of SQL queries. All right. So with that being said, let's check out what the chat was saying. Yukari says, I keep forgetting let me get this off the screen. I keep forgetting I'm the only one that's deep into cybersecurity. What? And Bridget says, we use it more for double checking data is matching. Yep, that's what I was saying. Trickiest thing I've had to do with SQL as a QA is probably an inner join. Those inner joins are tricky. They are tricky. Because you have to you have to find like something that's inside of this one and inside of that one and try to bring them together. It's a mess. It's a mess. But, you know, some people are really good. And Mitch says, scatter plots indeed. Mitch is a lover of scatter plots. And we salute him for that. We salute you for that, Mitch.
Let's get it.
Alrighty. If you haven't done already, do me a big favor. We have 2 questions left for the night. Go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that we go live and drop new content. And if you're in need of one-on-one coaching from me, go over to www.techcoachralph.dev. All right, let's get to our next one.
Another one.
Will an internship prevent future employment? So this question is, will a QA internship affect my employability as a software engineer? I'm a penultimate year student who was offered a QA engineer internship role at a startup. I interned as a full stack developer for 6 months last year at a startup, applied to countless software engineering roles, but did not manage to secure any until now. From what I witnessed, there's some sort of bad rep around the QA role. Please don't slaughter me. I might be wrong. My interest lies in dev, and the company said that I may transition to a software engineer intern role if I perform well enough, but the way they said it made me cast some doubts. It also seemed like they are relying solely on the intern to perform QA as they have no other QA engineers in the team. For clarification, I have absolutely no problem being a QA engineer. I think it's a very important role. Okay, thank you for buttering us up, but I'm worried about other people's future employers' perspective. Will a QA engineer intern role be a red flag? Will it be a red flag? On my resume, Again, I have no problems with QA. Okay, we get it. We get it. All right. I'm just worried about my future employability. So that is a good question. Let's start our timer. So I can't speak from a engineer's perspective or engineer hiring manager's perspective, but I don't see why that should be a problem. I think it would be a plus actually. If you can see, let's pivot real quick. Let's do a quick little pivot. You can't get a job as a software engineer in the first place. So, and you've applied and you've interviewed and you get rejected. So maybe you don't have the skills yet to land that software engineer position. And I think from my perspective, getting a role as a QA engineer can only help and enhance your skills and your foundation of being a software engineer, because it's going to embed that mindset of quality into your development practices. Because even when I was saying earlier, when I'm developing and I'm like still like I'm missing stuff because I don't have my QA thinking hat on. Imagine if I had no QA thinking hat. Imagine how the bugs that I would be introducing. See, I'm writing my unit test before I even write my code. So I'm following a test-driven method. So I have all these different scenarios that I'm catching for. So I have about like 30 tests that run for about 3 endpoints. And then every time something new comes in, I add a test for that as well. So I think with the whole mentality of shifting left, that is what's going like that. It's not only QA that needs to shift left; it's the whole organization that needs to shift left, where we are being more quality minded from the very beginning of the project of the project and the process, rather than instead of towards the end. So I think that the problem that you fear is one that is not warranted. I think that it should be able to help you. And the fact now the fact that you're getting to do it for a startup, the startup, like, yeah, they probably can't really afford a full-time QA engineer. So they have a need right now for QA. So they say, all right, we can afford a internship role. We understand that you want to be a software engineer. Work with us and we'll work with you. But you have to perform. And I was saying this the other day when we were talking about I think I was with Technical Steps talking about this. You want to move up in IT. You want to go to QA, you want to go to software engineer. Maybe a route to get into that is like going through tech sales. And I said, before you even think about networking with the QA people, with the software engineering people, you have to do a great job at the position that they offered you, whether that's tech sales, whether that's sales development representative, whatever it is. So as a QA intern, you want to be doing a phenomenal job before you even think about software engineering. Because if you are faithful with a little, then you'll be trusted with a lot. But if you cannot be trusted with a little, how can they trust you with a lot? So if you go and you like, see, you're such a perfect opportunity here, right? To get started with this internship role for QA, and then maybe they can like, okay, this person, they helped us out with this. They are as an intern, they don't have much experience. They have some development background from a 6-month internship they did before. We need some help with QA. So they come in, they do the QA. And if you do an amazing job, now maybe you can become their full-time QA. And then from there, maybe like if they see the value that you bring, and then you start building out the QA team and you say, I want to become a software engineer. And you continue to enhance your skills and say, okay, cool. Now that you have that testing mind frame, can you bring that testing mind frame to our engineers? And now you can become, you become a software engineer, you grow, you become a lead engineer, all that good stuff. So there is so much opportunity in that. So I think, like, me personally, I think that it will help. But, I am not a engineering manager. I'm not a hiring manager for engineers. So, take that with a grain of salt. Take that with a grain of salt. All right? All right. And let's go to the chat real quick. I think we only have one to address, and then we can go to our last question of the night. Let me get some water. Water spaces, water your car, water Mitch, just water. Water first, just water, all right? So, Bridget says, when I was changing careers, when I was learning to code, we were also told not to take any QA roles if we wanted to be software developers. Now, I think it's weird. Yeah, I never heard of that before because all the interns that we have, that come to our company, they are doing their majors are computer science, and I don't know. It's a weird take because for me, I think that if you have a QA mindset and background, then that can really help guide your thinking in when you approach software engineering. I don't know. I could be wrong. What, if you're wrong, what do you think? Am I off on that? Is it bad to do QA if you want to be a software developer, or is that some old type of thing? Right? That's all you drink. Yes. All I drink is water, Mitch. All I drink is water. Okay? Just saying, Mitch. Just saying. All right, let's get to our last question of the night before we wrap it up for tonight. And that's going to be
another one.
Bombed an SQL interview. I guess that should be bombed a SQL interview. Is it an or I guess I don't know. I'm gonna change it to A. I'm not sure. Is it an or A? Whatever. Grammar was not my strong point. Anyways, let's go with that. All right, so let's get to that question. So bombed my interview, feeling awful. I just had my first ever technical SQL interview with a big commercial company in the US yesterday, and I absolutely bombed. I did a few mock interviews before I went into the interview, also solved top 50 SQL plus more intermediate/medium on Leet Code and HackerRank. I also have a personal project using Postgres SQL, hosting on AWS, and I write queries very often, and I thought I should be well prepared enough for an entry-level data analyst role. Mitch, does that sound like they're ready for a data analyst role? And God, the technical part of the interview was overwhelming. First two questions are not bad, but my brain kind of froze and took me too long to write the query, which I can only blame myself. But from question number 3, questions have definitely gone way out of the territory that I'm familiar with. Some questions can't really be solved unless writing some very niche functions. And few questions were just very confusing without really saying what data they want. And the interview wasn't conducted on a coding interview platform. They kind of just show me the questions on the screen and asked me to write in a text editor. So I had no access to data and couldn't test my query. And it was 7 questions in 25 minutes. So I was overwhelmed. So yeah, I'm feeling horrible right now. I thought I was well prepared, and I ended up embarrassing myself. But in the same, I'm also perplexed by the interview format because all the mock interviews I did were using a proper platform where it's interactive, and I walk through my logic, and they would provide sample outputs or hints when I'm stuck. So you were using a platform that helped you cheat, huh? You were trying to cheat. I got you. I got you. And let's see. But for this interview, they just wanted me to finish writing up all the answers myself without any discussion. And the interviewer, a male probably in his 40s, didn't seem to understand the questions when I asked for clarification. And they didn't test my SQL knowledge at all, as well as explain delete versus truncate, what's third normalization, how to speed up data retrieval. Is this what I should expect for all future SQL interviews? Have I been practicing it the wrong way? Well, let's add that timer up. So here's the deal. There is so much that comes along with getting ready for interviews. It's not just going on Leads Code or HackerRank and doing some practice questions. There are a lot of platforms that you can use that will get you prepared for interviewing at a company. One thing I always do when I'm going to interview for whatever company, I look them up on LinkedIn. I look them up on Glassdoor. I look at what questions were asked in the interviews. I look at what the interview experience was for the different people who left comments. How many what was the main question that was asked? How many questions that were asked? What platform that they used. So a lot of these things that you're just finding out, you could have kind of avoided it by doing proper research. When I was looking up my when I was getting ready to interview for my current company, I looked them up on YouTube to see who was interviewing there. I looked them up on LinkedIn. I looked them up on Glassdoor. I looked at who was interviewing me when, checked them out on LinkedIn as well. I did so much research for, and not just for this company, for every company. I went and stalked them on LinkedIn, see what they were talking about, what their background was like. I looked at okay, what's their interview format, all of that stuff. Asked the recruiter questions. So you were not prepared. You need to when you see, when you see my backgrounds and stuff like that, my thumbnails, and they're very warm-minded because I am at war every single day because I want to win. And that's why I do research like a hawk. Your car. You remember when that guy came into the chat, into Anton's chat, begging for a coaching call and then being very, very disrespectful as well? We found out who he was in 30 seconds. I mean, it did help that he put his full name in in the email. But we found out who he was in 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, we know everything about you. But if people can do this much research so quickly for whatever other nonsense, right? Why aren't we doing the same level of intensity or more for the things that we need, the things that we want? So that's the part that I don't understand sometimes. How come we don't prepare properly for the things that we say we want? We'll do. How much time will it take you to order something on Amazon? You read through all the reviews, through all the positive reviews. I remember when I go looking for something on Amazon, I go to the reviews, right, and then I'll just click on the 1-star reviews, and I see what everyone is saying about that. Then I go to the 2-star reviews, then I go to 3-star reviews, and I go to 4, and then I 5. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, you know what? Here's my assessment of this product, and am I going to take a chance on it or not? But I do all that research for some stupid product I'm buying on Amazon. But we don't do that same level of research when we're trying to get a job, when maybe it might be our first job. What gives? So some companies might ask you to explain particular stuff like delete and truncate. Some companies, they just want to see if you can do the work. Because you will be answering, and maybe delete or truncate is not important to them. Maybe it's not an entry level role you applied for. But a lot of times through the work, so like when I'm doing technical interviews, and we were reviewing a project that somebody did, I'm not really thinking more about like, okay, give me this particular detail about QA. I'm looking for, can you do the work? And can you articulate how you're doing the work? So, and I tell my tech barbarians this a lot. I'm like, please save the same thing I tell to the wealth building journey. I'm like, save the big fancy words. Let's just get to the point. So how do you do this? Just, just A, B, and C. That's it. All right, cool. Let's get to it. I'm not about like, okay, explain this, explain that. Can you show me the work? And maybe you need to up your SQL skills just a little bit. Now you know what you might expect on some interviews. Prepare for the worst. My motto is prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So if you are very well versed in SQL and you are ready to go, you're not nervous, you're not worried, cool, great. And if you get that easy interview where they're asking, okay, what's the difference between truncate and delete? Oh, it's this and that. Okay, cool. What's third-party normalization? Oh, cool. How do you speed up data? Oh, cool. But at least you're ready for the most complicated parts if they were to come your way. All right? All righty then. So let's wrap that one up with a bow on top. And we're gonna head out by reading the chat, and then we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. And we'll be back live tomorrow morning to work on our, pushing our app to the App Store for Google. All right. So Yakar says, sounds like they were testing your overall knowledge. That's what it sounds like to me as well. And we're not gonna name his name, but yes, that guy who sent all the threatening emails and stuff like that. So Mitch says, dang, you should have been in cyber then all that investigating. Look, so I'll tell you this, Mitch. When you do bail bonds, you have to be able to know how to find people's information. And there are sites that you can do background checks and find out all their details and stuff like that. But yeah, I am a very, very good researcher. I will find things like, I remember one time your car and I were talking like, oh yeah, looking for a timestamp. And I said, oh, can we use the API to see like what the captions are and find it that way? Your car's like, yeah, that's how I always do it. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay, I got you. And it says, your card says, we knew where he worked and everything. We sure did. And it says, your card says, I do the same thing at the grocery store. I am reading every ingredient label when trying to compare products. I don't care who is watching. I always turn it over and like, what is the fat? How much fat is in this? How much protein is this? How much carbs? And what type of, like, what ingredients, like, are they using soybean oil? Are they using canola oil? What's going on with this, right? Totally agree with you. And Mitch says, I'll be the other side. How much research can you do if you're applying to 50 companies and you get 10 interviews? People are burnt out. I know you don't believe in that. But here's the thing, Mitch. Are they getting those 10 interviews in the same? All right, first of all, people aren't getting 10 interviews. Like that's just not happening. They're not getting 10 interviews in the same day. Most people are applying endlessly and they're not getting anything. But if you do, if you are him or her and you are getting those 10 interviews, they're not going to be all in the same day. And they all go in steps progressively. So if you're meeting with a recruiter, then you have time to look up the details about the recruiter. And if you're meeting with the hiring manager, you have time to look up who that hiring manager is. When I was interviewing for a bunch of companies last year, and I did my due diligence to see who I'm going to be talking to, what we're going to be talking about, what I can prepare myself with to see if there's anything in like if I even did this, right? The when I was meeting with engineers, I would go and look at their GitHub and look at what parts they did in their GitHub to see if there's anything I can bring up about it. So it's definitely possible. I think that's just an excuse. I think that's just an excuse. All right. Expect the worst, hope for the best. And Mitch says, "Who threatening you? I got the pass." They weren't threatening me. They weren't threatening me. I know. I'm in data. I know. And your guy says, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Is that anthem gum? Is the X silent? See, yeah, I'm not doing that. And soy, nope, no soy, no soybean oil, no canola oil, nope. MSG, nope. You're totally right. And it says, no, not the same day. That's what I mean. Like, if it's not in the same day, you should have enough time to do some research. Some research, like go on Glassdoor. But if you really want the position, and Brittany says, I had 2 interviews the same day. That was awful. I could see. I know. I think I had some interviews the same day as well. Let me check my calendar again. Let me go back to. Let's go to. Let me see. It was June or January of last year. Can I get there? Let's see. Let me see what I had. Let me see. I think it was like the 3rd week of. Yeah, I had some interviews that were piling up on top of each other. But made it happen. We made it happen. Project review, project prep, AutoNation. Yep. Yeah, I had a bunch of stuff. My calendar was packed back in January of last year, but I turned what could have been a 3 to 4 month time period into a 30-day time period. So hey, it all matters how you push it. It's pronounced xanthan. Xanthan. All right. And Mitch says, everybody is not you. I think that's what you fail to realize. Well, I am. The only reason that I'm me is because I am results driven. Nothing matters but the results. That is my motto. That has always been my motto. Nothing matters but the results. So if you don't have the results, guess what? Work harder, work smarter. That's it. All right. That is it. Anyways, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We were over the 2-hour mark tonight. So let's get some rest because we're going to run it back up in the morning. Let's go ahead and take care of that. So anything else before we head out? I think that's it. I think that's it for me. I really appreciate you all. Thank you, Bridget, for hanging out with us tonight. Yakar, as always, salute to you, Yakar. Mitch, thank you, as always, for your support. And Yakar's favorite line, let's run it up.
Are you ready?
Let's get it. All right. And you guys know what it is. After answering all these questions for you, I have a question for you. The question is,
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
we are very, very well entertained. We're educated. We're informed. We are more knowledgeable 2 hours later than we were 2 hours ago because, and of course,
I mean, all we do is win, man. You know that.
if we weren't winning, then why even bother? Why even bother? So, lastly, as always, you guys know what it is, right? You know what it is. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Today's price is not tomorrow's price because
One more thing. Price of the brick going up.
the price of the brick is always going up. And on that note, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. Everyone who showed up, I really, really appreciate you. Your car come with a better intro. You're so petty. You waited. All right, before we end up, your car, before we end, right? I bet he waited all night just to end with that one. He was just, You remember? Remember? This is so loud. See, I was about to end it, but Mitch, now you have me being petty, Mitch. So let's go with. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. Let's do this. Your car. I bet Mitch was sitting like this the whole night. The whole night. He's sitting like this just to be like at the end. Your car. Come with a better intro. On that note,
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.